friends, it's UrsulasRevenge, and happy Roadmap Day! Star Stable released the next up in Jorvik for the next 3 weeks of January, so let's talk about what's coming to Star Stable this month. First, on January 8th, we have an update titled Trail of Wanderlust. So we found out yesterday at the end of the news post that another Trailblazer track is coming, this time titled the Trail of Wanderlust. We're welcoming the first Trailblazer track of 2025. This time, it comes with a ranch-inspired outdoorsy outfit and tack set to make way for some truly epic content coming your way later this year. This week, we're focusing on kicking off the Trailblazer. Stay tuned for more adventures ahead. So it looks like next week we are only getting the addition of the new Trailblazer track, which would still honestly give us plenty to do while they start ramping up in the next couple of weeks. On January 15th, the update is titled The Criollo Arrives. A new horse has arrived to Jorvik, this time the versatile Criollo, coming all the way from South America, dressed up like a true gaucho in these new outfits and tack. So on the 15th, we are getting a new horse breed, the Criollo, and with it we are getting some new tack as well as outfits. To be honest, I don't think I've seen spoilers yet of these outfits, so I honestly don't even know what to expect. And finally, on January 22nd, we have an update titled Bazaar Bound. The Bazaar is back with a bang. It's also time to make sure you polish your armor and work those gates. Next week, we turn our eyes towards the Forgotten Fields yet again. So while this next up in Jorvik is only 3 weeks of stuff, because technically the winter event was 5 weeks of stuff, so it took 1 week away from January, we only have 3 weeks of content explained. However, they did sneak in the little extra 4th week for February, because it looks like after next week's Bazaar, we're headed back to the Forgotten Fields, maybe for some more medieval content. So going back to the beginning of January 22nd's update, it will be a Bazaar. We don't know what the horses will be in the Bazaar, although they did say that it will be back with a bang, so I'm curious if it's going to be a lot of horse breeds or if it's going to be a special series of horses. There are a bunch of magical horses that we have not seen in rotation, and I'm curious to see if they would do a magic horse bazaar. I mean, in general, I am curious what they're planning to do with magic horses, since it seems they're going away from the limited release model of horses, at least for horses that aren't tied to festivals. For example, back in October, we learned that some of the magic horses, pretty sure it was Woodier and Pepita Pixie, both of those they mentioned would leave the Halloween horse rotation to be available permanently in Jorvik, but we still don't know where that is going to be. So still curious to see what they're planning on doing about that. And then again, we know that the week after we are polishing our armor and going to the Forgotten Fields, which can really only mean one thing. Something that I did forget to mention in this Wednesday's update is that they have released a new blog post for December. This blog post pretty much is about the 2024 year in review of all of the different updates that Star Stable has brought to the game. But there are a couple of sections that I want to bring a little special attention to because they highlight things that will be coming in 2025. If you'd like to read the entire blog post, it will be linked in the description below, as well as the news post for the next up in Jorvik. But some of the things that I want to highlight under the section where they talk about the new areas, specifically the Disco and the Silverglade Equestrian Center, they mention specifically in reference to the new Equestrian Center in Silverglade. To be honest, we don't even feel we're done filling the area with more for you to experience while you're there. We've just set up an incredible foundation for more gameplay yet to come. So it looks like they have potential plans to expand on more stuff to do in the area to really fill out the Equestrian Center even more than they already have. Obviously, none of these things have dates, it's just more so things it looks like the team is interested in enough to do, enough to say so in the blog post to make us aware. So potential new additions to the Silverglade Equestrian Center. The next area actually talks about the medieval area and the new gameplay feature, jousting. They note that this is just the first step in a project that will include permanent and festival content in the future. In fact, stay tuned for some fun new activities in the medieval area early next year. And it looks like that's what they were alluding to in this next up in Jorvik for the first week of February, coming back to the Forgotten Fields, donning our armor, and returning to the Forgotten Fields. I know it's a long article, but there are 2 more things that I want to talk about. With the main story, they're acknowledging that the story itself is at a critical point, and they have confirmed that it is not the end of the story altogether, just the end of this current story arc. We've slowed down to ensure our Garnoks are in a row, and the honor is paid to all the effort you've put in along the way. We're also interested in returning to existing storylines and boosting the lore through quests throughout the rest of the game. So again, this is not the end of story quests altogether in Star Stable, it's just the end of this story arc. We've noticed that it has slowed down a bit since some of the early quests in the summer, we have not seen really another big main story quest, and it seems like they really want to do it justice by giving it the time that it deserves to finish, and also revisit some of the storylines that are a little unfinished or deserve a little bit of love, which is really exciting. There are a couple of areas in Star Stable where you cannot max out the reputation, because there are no more quests to max out the reputation with. So it'll be exciting, and hopefully we eventually get to a point where we can max out the reputation with every single faction, with different quests in the areas to maybe wrap up some cliffhangers and other abruptly halted storylines. And finally, something I was hoping that they would address for a while now is festivals. While there is still the blog post from the future of festivals for 2024, I'll link that one as well in the description. Maybe I'm just like inferring a little too deeply here, but in my head, they've partially confirmed why some festival elements do not return, and it's because they have their own internal system where they can see what we're actively interacting with, and that does not always line up with what everybody wants in the comment section of Instagram. To not mince words, they've said, we're also trying to balance out which festivals or parts of festivals players engage with the most, which doesn't always align with the sentiment we read from players online. It's a balancing act that we hope to improve in 2025. There you have it. The reason that some things return to festivals and some things do not is because they've got the data that says people don't interact with those things. So it's really important that when there are events and there are things that you do really like, you do get online and you do interact with those things so that they continue to be a part of Jorvik for years to come. It's also clear that festivals require a lot of resources, so it is difficult to balance maintaining the festivals, bringing stuff back that we like, adding new stuff to see if we like that to keep it going and keep adding on to the festivals to make them even bigger, while also dedicating time to making new content and adding new horses and new quests and new races. It's a lot. I think the idea was to have festivals eventually be almost self-sustainable so that they can just re-implement to save the team resources, but I mean, it does seem like they are planning to continually improve it into 2025. So yeah, that's what the next couple weeks in Jorvik looks like, plus some. I'm really excited to see what they decide to add to the medieval area. I really enjoyed it when it first came out, even though it was kind of shrouded in mystery about if it was or wasn't an event. Now that we know it is permanent and that more features will be coming to it, I'm excited to see how the area continues to grow. I've also maxed out all the factions, so I'm curious if they're going to add more or do something else with that. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video like this. I do try to cover every Wednesday update and more. Let me know what you're most excited for this year in Star Stable, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!